Hello everyone, this is the Gaming Preacher, bringing you a hardcore team deathmatch on the map Seatown. I'm going to be using the FAD with the grenade launcher because the night that I happened to be playing this was one of those nights where it seemed like every single lobby was just nothing but campers and people who were just sort of playing a little on the cheap side. So I had to break out my FAD and my grenade launcher, so you might see me shoot that a couple times. But overall, it was a decent gameplay. It wasn't that terribly exciting, but I did want to put up a video because I wanted to talk about Romney versus Obama. I wanted to talk about the upcoming presidential election. Now, I'm not really going to do this, at least I'm not going to try to do this from the standpoint of trying to convince anybody one way or the other. I just want to kind of share some of my thoughts as we get ready to elect our next president. Now, I'll start this and preface this by saying that although I'm a quote-unquote registered Republican, I would describe myself more as a conservative than I would as a member of the Republican Party. Now, why am I a conservative, or why do I sort of identify myself with the Republican Party? Well, you're going to find people that you're going to agree and disagree with in any group that you're involved in. Do I, subscribe to every single thing that Republicans promote or they stand for? Well, of course not. But when you look on balance between Republicans and Democrats, there's just no way that I could, associate myself with the Democratic Party. Now, is that to say I would never vote for a Democrat? Well, no, not necessarily, because it depends on what that person believes personally, what they stand for, and depends on what office they're running for. But for something like the president, where you are looking at it from a national perspective, then you really have to take a look at the party that they're affiliated with and sort of the principles and underlying beliefs that they have. And that's where I come across being a conservative slash Republican. Now, I'm also looking at this from the perspective of my faith, my Christian faith, my belief in the Bible as the Word of God, and just what I believe in terms of a Christian's life. Not only their spiritual life, but also, their public life, their life within society and within a community. Now, just a little background real quick. My wife, when we first got married, I would probably describe her as a Democrat. And you would say, well, why was she a Democrat? Well, it's because her parents were. And I think that is a symptom that we have in this country, a problem we have in this country, that a lot of times people associate themselves with a particular political party, religious belief, or, football team, whatever you want to say, because that's how they were brought up. That was the atmosphere that they lived, that they grew up in. She was leaning Democrat because, well, that's the example she saw from her parents. Well, why were her parents Democrat? Well, both of those were school teachers. Both of those grew up in households that were predominantly Democrat. And why were they Democrat? Because they were from the World War II generation. They were from the generation where, to be honest with you, when Democrats were not like the Democrats that we have today. You hear many people who will leave the Democratic Party and say, I'm not leaving the party left me. And I think there's some truth in that. Because you have to remember, especially here in the South, the Democratic Party has a really interesting history. It was the Democrats in the South who were preventing rights for African Americans, who were, holding back racial progress. It was the Democrats that were doing that. It was the Republicans were the ones who were promoting racial diversity, promoting racial and civil rights and things of that nature. So you can see how the history of both these parties have changed, or their perception has changed. But anyways, my wife's parents, both being Democrat because they were teachers, because teachers, were unionized, and Democrats are, big in with the unions and things like that. So that's how she grew up that way. But once she began to, and this is the important thing, once she began to think for herself, once she actually thought about it, examined what both parties, what both, groups stood in the issues that she cared about, she realized that she had no choice but to be a Republican, but to be a conservative. And that's where I stand in my beliefs as far as my political persuasion, if you want to call it that. I cannot subscribe to, people who promote certain agendas or promote certain ideals that just go against my own personal philosophy. And that's where I disagree with the Democrats. And that's where I come in being, for Romney in this election. But I'll sort of preface that by saying I am more against a Democrat control than I am pro-Romney. Is Romney the best candidate? Well, it depends on who you're comparing him to. He would not have been my first choice by any stretch of the imagination. Not to get into a debate about religious topics in this commentary, but I have issues with Romney and his Mormon beliefs. In his beliefs as a Mormon, I have trouble with someone who thinks that at some point him and his wife can be the gods of their own planet. That's a belief that you find in the Mormon Church. It's not one that you'll find always televised in their happy commercials, but nonetheless, it's one of their religious beliefs. So I have issues with Romney in that respect. But at the same time, you have to look at where our country is at right now, not just socially but economically. And we're in some serious trouble. We're in deep doo, as they say. Pardon my French. And we need somebody who is going to try to move this country forward in terms of economic policies and things like that, national defense, and move us away from where we've been going the last 4 years. I don't care what anyone says about Obama. I don't care what the Democrats say or the media says. We have moved closer to socialism than we ever have before. And I don't think Obama will ever admit it. And he's, I think, taken offense to people who label him as a socialist. But I don't know what else you could call him. A progressive, I guess, is another word. But basically, he is for redistribution of wealth. He's for, less private enterprise. Less incentives for private ownership for businesses. I mean, you can see that in the few policies that he's actually put forth and in the direction that he's trying to go, in this country. Do I have a problem with rich people? Well, no. I mean, as long as they got their money legally. I don't have a problem with rich people. I've never seen a poor person hire anyone to do a job. People who are successful and make money, we can't hold that against them. Now, of course, there's issues with taxes and junk like that can be fixed. But, we're not going to solve the problem by giving everyone, equal economic status, by quote-unquote sharing the wealth. I mean, that's just not how things work in a republic. Remember, America is not a democracy. It's a republic. There's a big difference between the two. And if you have trouble, with that difference, you need to Google it or you need to look it up and you can see the differences. But I just cannot stand for a party, stand for a candidate who just violates, some of my basic philosophies, my basic principles. I am pro-life. That's an issue that's important to me. I believe that life begins at conception, and I believe that it's our duty, not only if you're a Christian, but it's your duty as a human being to respect the dignity of life, to respect it. And a party who just looks at an unborn child as, a cell, as a bunch of cells, as some just, entity, that's biological entity that's not well defined, I just have a problem with that. Now, I understand that there are medical reasons and the like for terminating a pregnancy. I understand that. But when it becomes just a matter of choice, of, oh, I'm having a bad day, I didn't mean to have sex, whoops, it was an accident, oh my, I got pregnant. To me, that is not a valid reason to end the life of another human being. So we have philosophical issues there. I've already talked about some of the economic things that I disagree with, with the Democratic Party, as far as, sort of the socialist slant or the idea of spreading the wealth. So there's real fundamental differences, between these groups. And that's the issues where I come down with disagreeing with our current president and, and the Democrats. So, what do you think about that? Who are you leaning toward in this upcoming presidential election, and why? Is it a matter of personality? Is it a popularity contest? Is it because Obama's, the hip-hop popular president, Mitt Romney some stodgy-looking old guy? I mean, what is it? Let me know below. Let me know where you're leaning right now. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this commentary. I hope you tolerated my rant, and I hope you enjoyed the gameplay. As always, subscribe if you liked what you heard, and please check out some of my other videos here. Guys, y'all have a great day, and God bless. Bye.